everybody. Welcome to the Schatz and Tanier show. I am back after being off on Monday. Hopefully, Brian Knowles held down the fort for me. I'm here with Mike Tanier of themessenger.com, and we are going to talk about week 4 in the NFL. Don't forget, if you are watching us live, we do this Mondays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, and you can watch live on YouTube and ask us questions, and we will answer them. And we have certain games that we are set to talk about, but we're willing to talk about any game. So feel free to ask questions about your favorite game, even if that game involves a team that bores us to pieces, like the Tennessee Titans. All right, let's start week 4. Let's get right into it, and let's talk about Thursday night with the Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers, which, by the way, if you see the schedule for Thursdays, this is like the best Thursday game for like a month and a half. Like, it's not a good schedule.
Oh, no, this is a good Thursday game. I like this game. But wait, what do we have coming up? Bears Commanders, oh dear. Broncos Chiefs, oh dear. Jaguars Saints is okay. All right, so let's cherish this.
Let's treasure this game. Al Michaels, treasure this game. Lions make the playoffs in 91% of sims if they win, 70% if they lose. Packers 86% if they win, 61% if they lose, because these are 2-2-1 teams with fairly easy schedules. So our system likes their chances, both teams' chances of making the playoffs. I watched a little bit of the Packers last night. They will broadcast the Packers-Saints game on NFL Network, and I will say that Jordan Love looks good, but I feel like he's having a little bit of luck on the third downs. They complete a lot of third and longs. They've got to improve the running game's got to get better, and they've got to have more second and mediums and third and mediums and fewer third and longs. And in fact, the Packers are right now number 1 in pass DVOA on third downs.
And they are number 1 in average depth of target because Love is airing it out a lot. I'm not sure where the luck begins and ends because he's getting balls dropped and everything too. But it's a very boom or bust offense right now. You see a lot of balls going downfield. They don't have Christian Watson yet. Sometimes
Watson will be back this week, actually.
That's what I heard. But will he be back tonight?
He's supposed to be back tonight, yes.
Okay, well, that's going to be huge for them because Dobbs is the number 1, and he's a little droppy, although he's a great deep threat. Number 2, 3, and 4, Dontavian Wicks, the other rookie whose name just
Jalen Reed.
Jalen Reed, good ball player, and Musgrave, the tight end. And so when you're trying to go vertical and you've got all these rookies, you're going to get a kind of an erratic offense.
Yeah, it's definitely. And by the way, you said something about a couple of drops, but also a couple of amazing catches.
That's true. Mostly Dobbs, too.
Dobbs has made a couple of amazing catches. Reed made one also in that game against the Saints. So the Packers, like I said, the running game has not gotten going. And, if you look at some of these advanced run statistics that the next gen stats people keep, A.J. Dillon has never been that impressive. And Aaron Jones has been, and they've been without Dillon and without Jones, and just having Dillon and Patrick Taylor. And I believe that Jones will be back tonight. The Packers are 29th rushing so far, and the Lions are 5th on run defense. That's where their defense so far has really improved over last year, is against the run. So again, the Packers have got to figure out a way to get into medium situations so that Love doesn't have to air it out on every pass.
Right. One of the things they're playing the Saints last week. The Saints generally have a very strong run defense, have strong run defensive personnel, and they were doing it mostly doing a lot of Dillon. Dillon is like your 1970s running back, where he gets hit at the line of scrimmage and he breaks one tackle for 2 yards, and it's like, yeah, like that's a 2-yard gain there. I want to go back real quick. The playoff odds for both these teams are so high. A lot of this is that they already have that win against the NFC South team where they've put themselves in a better tiebreaker advantage.
I think it's just that they're 2-1.
Right.
And remember, preseason projections had the Lions as an above average team and the Packers as an average team.
Okay.
And doesn't in the preseason, our playoff odds had the Packers in and the Lions in, and 2 NFC South teams. And so it likes that they've gone 2-1, and it feels like their schedules are easy. The Packers have the 30th ranked schedule in the league this year. It's not as easy as those NFC South teams, but it's pretty easy. So yeah, that's why the playoff odds are so high on these teams. I mean, whoever wins goes to 3-1,
Right,
with
and
an important tiebreaker over their biggest division competitor. And that's why if the Lions and Packers win, their playoff odds are so high.
and the division has 2 0-3 teams, one of which will never get off of its back this year. So
Yes.
it's basically between the two of them. Okay, I see that.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I think that I'm not a Rams believer.
No,
and so I think that the wild card, and I'm not a Buccaneers believer. We'll get to the Buccaneers in a little bit.
Right.
So I feel that the wild cards in the NFC belong to the second team in the NFC East, the second team in the NFC South, the second team in the NFC North, or Seattle.
Right.
Three of those 4 teams will win wild card.
God, I think it's going to be Seattle over the second team in the NFC South. We'll see, though. But yeah, 2 teams coming out of this division, the way they're playing right now, and these are younger teams. Both of these are younger teams, so they could be trending.
The Lions are young, very young, and the Packers are younger this year, I think, than they were last year. How much Lions have you had a chance to watch since week 1? We all watched them week 1. Have you watched any Lions the last couple of weeks? I have not had a chance to watch Lions.
Watched them week 2. Watched about half of them week 3. What was focused more on the Desmond Ridder experience and the Falcons offense, which I now call the Cones of Dunsphere offense because
that's actually a good description.
It's so complicated. Only half the Falcons know it. Like that's where they're at right now. It's a defense that gets a lot of pressure, and it's an offense that has, just like last year, no ability to really get the ball downfield consistently because they don't have that downfield target. So they're manufacturing things to Laporta, manufacturing to St. Brown. They're exceptional at doing that, but I think that limits what they can do against better opponents.
Yeah, Next Gen Stats had an interesting Laporta, 7 of 8 targets last week, 87 yards and touchdown on in-breaking routes.
Yeah.
So the Packers have to stop Laporta on in-breaking routes. I think that's kind of an interesting stat. The line on this game is Lions -1.5.
I like it. I like the Packers are just so erratic right now. I don't know how to hang my hat on, like you said, this sort of it's 3rd and long and you're getting a Dobbs play, and that's how you're manufacturing these wins right now. Their defense is strong. Defense is very active. I think they should be able to stop some of those in-breaking routes. I think they've improved on the linebacker level, getting back on those things. I just like the Lions in this game.
I would go Packers.
Okay.
+1.5, being at home on a Thursday night. Okay. But I will say that later on today, I'm doing Gil Alexander's Megapod, Gil Alexander from VSiN. And one of the things he asks you is, what game do you want no part of? And this is my pick.
Good one.
Because Thursday night,
yes,
division rivals.
Yes,
Packers seem like they have a lot of highs and lows. I could be anything. I feel like tonight could be meat and could be cake. Like it could be anything.
And Watson and Jones are a major factor up and down. It's like, oh, they're in. I've heard that on Thursday nights and had them not be in live. So you don't want to really operate off of that. So don't play anything until you are certain of their health status.
All right, let's move on to Sunday and the biggest game, what may end up being one of the biggest games of the year, period. The DVOA Bowl. I have an article right now up on ftnfantasy.com/DVOA on DVOA Bowls, past matchups where one team was number 1 and one team was number 2 at the time. Yeah. And you'll find this interesting, by the way. All 3 Philadelphia Eagles, New York Giants games from 2008 were DVOA Bowls. Based on the current version of the metric, all 3 of those games were number 1 versus number 2. Yeah.
2008?
2008 was the weird year where the Eagles went 9-6-1 and still led the league in DVOA and then made it to the conference championship game.
Right, and lost to the Cardinals. It was the year after the Giants, won the Super Bowl. Strange year. I started to feel old very early in it because I saw the 2020 Saints on there, and I'm like, oh my God, the Saints number 2 in DVOA.
Yeah, remember when the Saints were good? It wasn't that long ago.
It was not that long ago. I felt 1,000 years old.
This is the most important game for Super Bowl odds because the Bills and the Bills and the Dolphins playoff odds are so high that it doesn't matter.
Right.
Jim Steckschulte says there's a DVOA toilet bowl of the Broncos and the Bears. I guess, that might be 30. I didn't look at like when 31 played 32.
We used to say that's a job for Brian, but
Bills make the Super Bowl 20.5% with a win and 13% with a loss. Dolphins 11.5% with a win and 7% with a loss. Dave still prefers the Bills because the preseason projections were so high. On the Bills, this is, the Miami offense. What can you say? Best offense we've ever tracked through 3 games, helped in part by the fact that defenders for Denver could not stay on their feet.
Right.
Like trying to tackle the Miami. I know the Miami runners are fast, but also like the Denver guys could not tackle at all. And the interesting, fascinating thing about the Miami offense is the way they throw downfield while still getting the ball out really quick. So you can't pressure them because the receivers are so fast that you can throw the ball downfield quickly. Like it's kind of nuts. Like, I mean, I definitely feel like Miami's going to come back to the pack. Yeah. They may end up with the best offense in the league this year, but it's not going to be plus 60% all year.
No.
But what they did last week was insane.
Right. It's a matter of they'll come back to the pack how far and when. Like that's the question you have to ask on this.
Right.
Even the 2007 Patriots come back to the pack a little bit as the year goes on. The Dolphins right now lead the league in yards after catch. They actually lead the league in yards before catch. Not depth of target, but like on completions. They lead the league in yards before contact on running plays. Part of it is, you've got 4 people in the box sometimes. They lead the league in running against 6-man boxes, and sometimes 6-man box is very theoretical, and the linebackers are like 5 yards off the ball. And like yards after contact on runs are like 10th or something like that. So like it's like the 4 quadrants of what you can do with the ball, the Dolphins are leading or like in second place on.
Yeah, not to start the whole Tua Tagovailoa MVP argument again, but I will say part of the issue here is so much of their value last week was in the running game. Like Tua Tagovailoa was awesome last week, but also their running game has been fantastic. And so you're like, okay, how much of that is because of the passing game, freeing things up for the running game? But then, okay, how are we going to divvy up responsibility for that? Tua and Hill and McDaniel, right? Like this is the issue of like you wrote interestingly this week about Tyreek Hill as MVP. And I am the person you aimed that at, right? Like I have a hard time with the idea of wide receiver as MVP. But what I don't have a problem at is what if out of the 5 players you vote for MVP, 2 of them are Dolphins? Like maybe the Dolphins don't have the most valuable player in the league, but they have 2 of the 5 most valuable players. Does that make sense? Like Mahomes is the most valuable player. I still feel like Mahomes is the most valuable player in the league. But maybe Tua is not number 1, but maybe Tua and Hill are like 3 and 4, right? I mean, if you have 2 of the 5 most valuable players, that's better than having the number 1 most valuable player.
If we went back a couple of years, then when we say Tyreek and Kelsey and Mahomes deserve to be like 2, 3, and 4.
That is a good part of the argument. That's a good part of the argument is why do you take away from Tua if you wouldn't take away from Mahomes? And the answer is what they do out of structure.
Right.
Mahomes' ability to do things out of structure that Tua doesn't have. I will say the running game is going to be a huge problem. Buffalo has a really interesting, I looked this up for Dallas, and then Buffalo turned out to be even more extreme. Buffalo is 2nd in the league so far, stuffing runners at the line.
Okay.
But they are 32nd in second level yards and 31st in open field yards, which are yards that are 10 or more past the line of scrimmage. And Miami, of course, is number 1 in both of those because like Mostert and Achane, how does he want you to pronounce it now? Achane?
Achane now? I thought it was Achane.
I think it's now Achane.
Okay.
They are going to, if they're going to get stuffed at the line a couple times, but then they're going to go 8 and 9 and 8 and 9 and 7 and 11 and over and over and over again. And the Bills have not been able to stop that so far.
Now I was looking up those same stats, and remember, there's an 83-yard run by Breece Hall in the data for the Bills. So there's 3 games, so 83-yard run is still things up. But Brian Robinson had 10 carries for 70 yards in a blowout situation, and I believe the yards after contact for the Bills overall are like 4.9. So you're right; they can get picked at, they can get hammered at, and things. One of the things I'm looking at is the Raheem Mostert over under is 51.5, and my concern about that isn't the Bills' defense; it's Achane. But Sean has only had one carry yet so far where it wasn't a 15-plus point differential. He's been he was used last week kind of as the...
And the Bills tackle better than the Broncos.
Yes. I tackle better. My dog tackles better than the Broncos.
Flip it around, by the way. Red zone, still a problem for the Bills' offense. Was a problem, big problem for them last year. And I said, okay, that's likely to regress. So far, not really. Right. 15th in DVOA in the red zone for the Bills' offense. I think it'll be interesting if the Bills are willing to run more, because Miami's defense has been weak against the run so far. Even if you adjust for situation, I mean, obviously Miami's had a lot of leads, but the Bills are only 29th so far running on first downs. Like, is this kind of a get right for James Cook, or is this, I don't know.
But the Bills are not going to start running the ball, like a situationally smart situations. That's not what they're going to do. You talk about the red zone situations. I have a couple props here. Now, if you're feeling the Dolphins, here's the Dolphins parlay. Okay. Dolphins money line, Tyreek Hill anytime touchdown, and Tua passing yards over 272.5. That's plus 525. So Dolphins Hill anytime and 272 plus 525. You feeling it?
Because of the plus 525, I'm feeling it.
Yeah. I mean, you don't do that if it's like plus 115. You have to. It's got to be tasty. Now, I like that one better than the Bills flavored one. So here's Bills to win. Josh Allen over 267.5 passing. And Stephon Diggs anytime touchdown scorer plus 385.
I like that too.
You like it? The Diggs anytime touchdown, because of what you said. Like, it's got to be like a 30-yarder for Diggs, it feels like.
The line on this game is Bills minus 2.5, and the over-under is super high, which is 54.
Yes.
I'm going to start by saying our system, the system that I use to make the picks on the site, is so under on this game. I think, I mean, just because at this point in the season, the preseason projection is still counting for 78% in day. Like, I think people are just 70 points is amazing. But first of all, I don't want to belittle what they did, but 3 of those touchdowns came in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was corny.
And second of all, like, it's not going to happen over. I think that 54 is really kind of misunderstanding the Bills' defense and overcompensating for last week. So, like, I'm heavy on the under on the 54. Okay. I don't know about the 2.5. Like, I don't know who I mean, I guess Bills, because it's in Buffalo. But if it was -3 or more, I would go Miami.
Right, and I don't feel this great. You know, Bills at home, they rule the roost at home. They don't rule the roost at home.
The weather will be normal.
Oh,
right?
Normal weather.
Not like weird weather, right? Like your whole thing about the Bills and weird weather.
Yeah, normal weather Bills. I'm going under on this. I'm just going to defer on the pick. I like the idea, the concept of the under. The Bills' red zone woes play into that under, where they can drive and wind up with a field goal. And I'm just gonna, I'll call Dolphins straight up, but I have no confidence in that.
Tampa Bay at New Orleans. This is the most important game for playoff odds. Sure. I know, right? They're both 2-1, and somebody has to make the playoffs from that division. Saints, 86% if they win, 65% if they lose. Buccaneers, 44% if they win, 20% if they lose. Alvin Kamara returns. And Tampa Bay's run defense, which has been good in the past, is only 23rd so far this year. I don't know. It's part of this. How much are you buying Baker Mayfield? You know,
we're getting Jameis.
Yeah, we are getting Jameis. It's very likely this is Jameis Winston against Baker Mayfield, battle of the number 1 picks.
Jameis's revenge against the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
I can't be the first revenge game. I'm sure there were a couple because he was a starter there for a while. And just a low confidence game in either of these quarterbacks. I'll say this: the Buccaneers were more competitive than I thought they were going to be against the Eagles on Monday night.
Yeah. And
not just the turnovers too. Not just the Eagles' turnovers making that happen. I think they were able to move the ball. I think Baker production was a little bit better. He was able to find, Godwin and Evans, and I think he got the ball out a little bit more. I I don't know what the long-term prognosis is for this team, though.
Brandon Thorne called out the Buccaneers' protection on Twitter a little while ago today, saying, given the quality of the Eagles' defensive line, that he was impressed with what the Buccaneers did in pass protection. And obviously Evans is still there and Godwin is still there. And Evans is on pace for like 1,600 yards. So like the idea that Mayfield and the Bucs sucking was going to make Evans not hit 1,000 yards this year seems to be completely wrong. Jim Steckschulte wants to know if there's an anytime interception prop for this game. Oh God, given the quality of the State's defense, Baker Mayfield, anytime interception, that's got to be
stunned. There won't be an anytime both teams interception. I want to see if they have anything posted for these two quarterbacks. Yeah,
I almost wonder if the interception prop would be at 1.5. I mean, given Winston and Mayfield and the quality of the Saints defense.
Well, over under it's always 0.5 except in extreme situations. Baker is 0.5, over is minus 125. They have not posted Jameis. Now, part of it is I don't know the exact degree of certainty that it is Jameis. It's going to be Jameis.
It's going to be Jameis.
But I can see the house just saying we're not playing.
No, this is I feel like this is a 95% certitude, whereas Las Vegas is 50-50. Whether it's we're not talking about the Las Vegas game, but Garoppolo is in the concussion protocol, so it's like 50-50 whether it's going to be Garoppolo or Hoyer. This one is Jameis.
And why Hoyer? Throw the rookie out there. The rookie looked good in the preseason. Anyway, back to this game.
Are they both interception props?
When we get a Jameis interception prop, and it'll probably be over 0.5 at like minus 220 or something like that. It'll be don't play this. Yeah. But the Saints were having a hard time moving the ball with Derek Carr. Last week, I mean, most of their points against the Packers, they get a kickoff return touchdown from Rashid Shaheed. He looks really good. They're not scoring very many points. Protection does not look good. I think Kamara will make a difference because obviously they don't have a lot of running back receiving game without him right now. But this is not a strong offense, even with their starting quarterback healthy.
The Saints -3.
Give me the Bucks. Wait, no. Backup quarterback in his first start.
I'm still, yeah, I know you like that. You like the backup quarterback in his first start, although Winston is not like a backup. I mean, there's plenty of film on it. Like, I just think the Saints are better. I just think the Saints are better. Their defense is better. I just think the Saints are the better team. Like, I appreciate what the Buccaneers have done early in the season against bad opponents, but the Saints are the better team. Give me Saints -3.
I'll take the Saints -3.
Let's go with Baltimore at Cleveland. Baltimore is in 81% of the time with a win, 57% with a loss. Cleveland, 89% with a win, 68% with a loss. Two things I wanted to point about this game. First of all, oh my God, are the Ravens injured? All right, here is the Wednesday do not practice list.
Yes.
And this doesn't include guys who are on IR, right? This is active players. Rashad Bateman, Odell Beckham, Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, David Ojabo, Odafe Owe, and limited Ronnie Stanley, Tyler Linderbaum, Marcus Williams.
Yes.
Okay. Oh my God.
Right. The backups of the backups.
They just signed Kyle Van Noy off his couch. Like Kyle Van Noy didn't even go to camp with anybody this year.
No. Right. And that's because like you're looking at positions you don't think of them being hurt with injuries. They're hurt with injuries at edge. They don't have the edges they need, you know.
Right. They didn't have a deep edge to begin with for this year. It was like a lot of like, let's see if Odafe Owe meets his potential. Let's see if David Ojabo meets his potential. And now they're both hurt.
Right, exactly. Now the good news is it is news that Linderbaum and Stanley were able to practice. So that's like an actual upgrade for them. But we have to try to upgrade that all the way to on Wednesday you were able to run around a little bit. Myles Garrett on Sunday. On Sunday. That's a big leap.
If you missed it on FTN, Cleveland's defense is one of the top 10 defenses we've ever tracked through 3 weeks.
Wow.
Check out, this is amazing. Browns are number 1 in DVOA in the red zone on both offense and defense. In part, their defense has only faced 5 plays in the red zone.
Yes.
And here are those plays.
Okay.
Run for -3, sack, incomplete, complete for 0, sack.
Yeah, like officially they're 0 for 2. Like they've been 0 for 2 on those. But when you say it that way, because the sacks indicate they can take you out of field goal range. That's not just good.
Oh, and
good
one of those was a sack fumble, although Tennessee recovered. Recovered the fumble. So yeah, not only they're taking out your field goal, but they can get you to turn the ball. They're like, it's only 5 plays, but like, first of all, they've only let one team even get to the red zone, and second of all, like, once they got there, they completely shut them down. That defense is hardcore right now.
Yeah,
guys who you just don't think of are playing well, like Martin Emerson.
Right. And of course, guys you do think of are playing really well also.
Well, like Myles Garrett.
Yes. And they're like number 1 in every category. Like they are number 1 in completion percentage allowed. They are number 1 in yards per passing play allowed. They're number 1 in third down conversions raw without DVOA. If you can name it, like I think yards per carry on runs are like 4th or something like that, but like it's still at like 3.1. Absolutely dominant in every phase. And some people might be sleeping on it because, again, the misleading score of the Steelers game, which was 2 defensive touchdowns by the Steelers.
Right. And index of suspicion does point out the Browns have done this against bad opponents. We haven't put in the opponent adjustments yet. That is true.
Like the Bengals, who we thought were a Super Bowl team coming in.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And I'll say, like, yes, Bengals are bad this year. Steelers are bad this year. Titans are bad this year. This is not the Bears. All right. This is not the Jets with Zach Wilson. These are like bad offenses, not devastatingly horrible offense.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say about the Bengals. Like, it's still Chase and Higgins, but Burrow is not right.
Right. Higgins has been dropping. Anyway, we're not going into the Bengals.
Yeah, we're not going into the Bengals right now. Browns minus 2.5.
Here's what I did. I did a same game parlay. I took the Browns money line. So the Browns straight up, so I didn't have to worry about points. Then I teased the under to 43.5. Teased it up to 43.5. I wanted to get out of 23 to 20, 23 to 19 final score territory. And I was able to take the Browns and under 43.5 at plus 158. That was my play.
All right. Yeah. Because that moves the line 2.5 because the line is Browns minus 2.5. I think if I have to pick with the line, I think I'm picking the Browns.
Right.
Because they're the home team and because of the Ravens injuries.
Right. I think I'd want 4 points for the Ravens. I want that much margin.
Washington at Philadelphia, 1 p.m. Eagles, 93% of the time they make the playoffs with a win, 77% with a loss. Commanders, 51% with a win, 25% with a loss. I wanted to point out the Eagles so far are 31st in DVOA, passing in the red zone. That will not continue. The Eagles' offense is probably better than it has looked.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Eagles have like a bunch of sort of like Jalen Hurts mistakes that we saw, like the fumble in the
that weird trick. They finally built a trick play into the push sneak.
Oh,
it didn't work.
Right. Where everyone looked uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
Where everyone looked uncomfortable running it. That's true. That was in there where he has to like fall on his butt and take a sack, which was probably the best move there. By the way, Sam Howell is on pace for, I believe, 108 sacks.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're 27th passing in DVOA right now, Washington. I've read a lot of stuff about like Howell. I'm going to tell you, I've not watched much Washington. So I've read a lot of stuff about, Howell looks like he's kind of got it. DVOA does not agree.
See, this is the thing. If you watch his passes, he's got it. Or he looks like he's got it. If you watch all of his dropbacks, and you realize the number of times that he is back there and he is waiting for stuff and waiting and then trying to eject out the back of the pocket or do some other kind of Michael Vick type move, then you realize, no, this is a major component of his game that's a problem. So, I think there's a component of his game that he does have. If it's quick release, if he's got an open man, if he's got protection, he's doing some very good things. But there is a big part of his game that he is sitting back there waiting to get sacked, a little Wentz-like in that respect. And you can't see it, by the way, in the time to throw. I hate the time to throw as a statistic in next-gen stats, because if you throw lots and lots of quick game into it, then a quarterback who, when it's not like is waiting too long, you can't see it in the stats.
I think part of the thing about it is similar to a lot of the defensive stats that I keep about like average depth of tackle and stuff.
Yes.
It is less explanatory and more descriptive.
Yes.
In other words, it's not time to throw is not telling you who's good and who's bad. It's telling you how offenses work.
Right.
Right. So sometimes what it's telling you is that there's a ton of quick game.
Right.
Which doesn't say quarterback good or quarterback bad, and doesn't say offensive line good or offensive line bad. It just says there's a bunch of quick game.
Right. And there's a bunch of quick game, and there would love to be a stat like how often more than 4 seconds or something like that. I mean, some people keep coverage sacks separately. I know there's a few of those there, but yeah, house facing. Now, I don't think the Eagles have great pass rushing numbers this year, but of course you can look at the personnel and look at some high leverage situations. Say yes, the Eagles can still get after quarterbacks when they need to.
The line is Eagles -8.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
Over under is 44.
The -8 is right on the line for a team that seems to be dealing with flu-like symptoms right now, and some other things. So, like, I would prefer the Eagles at around 6.5 or so. I'm not actually going to play this game. It's right on the line. I think I would still take it at 8.
Yeah, I think if I had to go with something, it would be the under 44.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, this could just be a mess.
Or a parlay maybe where it's Eagles -2 and under 50.
It would take me a minute to look that up, but you could probably get something good with that.
Well, that would be a teaser. Sorry, that's a teaser. So that's teasing
teaser.
Both lines 6 points. So the odds are probably not great, but
it would take me a minute to pull that up.
Yeah, Eagles to win, but not necessarily by a lot, and under, but not quite as under.
Right. Right.
It probably is like plus 120 or something.
Follow your music. You can probably get around plus 120. It would take me forever to load that up right now. So
finally, let's talk about the national 4 p.m. game. Not like this is a great contest, but this is the national 4 p.m. game that most people are getting, and that is New England at Dallas. Cowboys, 84% playoffs with a win, 69% with a loss. The fact that the span there is smaller represents it's a non-conference game.
Right.
Patriots, 36% with a win, 19% with a loss. I mentioned earlier when we were talking about the Bills that the Cowboys are similar. Their running game stuffs a lot of runners, but also lets a lot of long runs. Maybe this is kind of a get-right game for Ramondre Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott, who the Patriots running game has been a little bit less than I think people expected so far. The other funny stat, the Patriots are second on offense in the red zone after sucking so bad there last year, which is, I mean, last year was fluky bad and this year is fluky good, and their reality is somewhere in the middle.
One thing I noticed about the Patriots offense is, I don't know where it is DVOA on third downs, but they've done a very good job avoiding negative plays on a lot of third downs. I think they have 0 sacks on third downs, and that has to be a big difference from last year, because last year third down was like the day of dread, and Mac Jones was holding the ball too long, and now you're seeing them, and that plays into their style of play. Like, avoid the mistake, punt if you have to.
It's really interesting because you would not think that pocket presence would be something that would be dramatically affected by scheme and coaching. You would think it would be more inherent to a quarterback, sort of like his mind, right?
Right.
But Mac Jones, the pocket presence this year is astonishingly better than last year.
Right.
Gets the ball out quicker, not taking the sacks, like much better. Oh my God, better than last year.
It might be going from horrendously bad advice, like step on the gas at the red light advice, to like just normal advice. And then he goes back to, oh yes, I was coached by this guy before and by Nick Saban before, and I know the basics of this. I can handle it. Whereas opposed it was Looney Tunes in his ear last year.
I mean, there's a little voice in my head that loves my Patriots and is like, come on, let's go out there and embarrass the Cowboys. You know, they lost to Arizona. They can lose to us. And then reality, my feeling is, lose to Arizona was probably a bit of a fluke.
Mm-hmm.
The Cowboys are clearly the better team. They're at home. Well, I feel pretty good about the Cowboys in this one.
Right. You have to assume they tighten things up in practice a little bit. Maybe it would be a little different if they were up in Foxborough. That could wind up being an impact weather game. By the way, we buried the lead here that Jerry Jones has something special planned for Ezekiel Elliott.
What?
I would have somebody else start my car hearing that, but Jerry loves Ezekiel. Okay, I think it's something very, very good. But that could be worse from a football standpoint, because if Jared gives you a very special surprise, you might not be right to work the next day. Let's put it that way.
Jim Steckschulte says, at least the Patriots are no longer doing what Mac Jones described last year as the quick game bleeping sucks.
We were talking off air. They're doing more RPO now.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's hard. One of the things we were saying off air is everybody has a different count of RPOs because what a charting company counts as an RPO, is different. But yeah, they're doing a lot of RPO this year. Bill O'Brien brought that from college.
Right.
And Mac knows how to do that from college.
Yeah, it helps the running game a little bit. It does create a quick game that's serviceable, and that certainly helped them last week.
There had been some discussion on the local radio here about if Mac Jones is getting the second contract. I'd be shocked if Mac Jones gets the second contract.
If he gets the second contract, they're going to have to give him the Daniel Jones contract.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Maybe that Geno got a contract like that, not a second contract. Maybe they're going to find this middle tier, and he would be the perfect candidate for that. Like, we're going to give you more money. It's going to be really 2 years of good guarantee, and we're going to try and keep this going. I didn't get the impression at any time in July and August that they were 100% satisfied with Mac Jones's development there. They're happy with where they're going right now, but I think they would have been happy if Zappy went lights out or something like that. So,
right, which he didn't. He sucked in camp, and therefore sucks.
Right.
Cowboys, this line actually has gone from 7.5 to 6.5. Cowboys minus 6.5. I mean, Cowboys minus 6.5, please. Thank you. Right. I'll take that.
Yes. Give me that touchdown. Thank you. Yeah.
And I will also point out the system likes the over 43 on this game.
I don't know. I mean, you're in Dallas, so it's going to be
these offenses are better than people think. Both offenses have been a little bit above average this year, but I think the Cowboys offense is really better than that. And so, I mean, I know the defenses are good, but 43 is a pretty low number. Like, I think you go over 43.
Belichick's going to want to control the clock. He will play for field goals when he gets in tight.
He loves field goals. Oh my God. Love something the way Belichick loves field goals.
He loves field goals, and he loves trying to milk you so you settle for field goals. So if the final score is 19-16, I respect the system, not trusting the over there.
Yeah. All right. That does it for week 4. That does it for the podcast / live stream. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. Please make sure you tell your friends to listen to the show, rate the show. Spread word of the show. Read Mike at the Messenger, which is themessenger.com. Read me at ftnfantasy.com/DVOA. We will be back Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern to review week 4 and preview the Monday night game, which just one Monday night game this week. Yeah. So that does it. Yeah, for Schatz and Tanier NFL podcast, I'm Aaron Schatz. Everybody have a good weekend.